are you doing today? My name is Mary, this is Happily Ever Esh, and today I want to chat about all of the books that I read in September. I got a little slumpy in September. Most of these books that I read were on audiobook, but I am feeling very excited and kind of rejuvenated to read going into October. So let's just chat about everything that I finished up in September. It was overall a pretty good reading month. I enjoyed most of what I read, so that's always exciting. So let's just hop on into chatting about what I read. So the first two books I finished in September, at the very beginning of September. I read the majority of them in August, so I went ahead and chatted about them in my August wrap-up, and I will link that down below in case you want to go check out and hear more of my thoughts. But I finished Wundersmith, The Calling of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend, which is the second in her Nevermore middle grade fantasy series, and then I also finished up This Tender Land by William Kent Krueger. So yes, I already chatted about those two books. I really enjoyed Wundersmith. It was phenomenal. This was a disappointment, but it wasn't a bad book. It just didn't live up to the hype in my head, which was my own doing, not the book's fault. So, yep, those were the first two. This is a nonfiction book that I read on audio. It was my book club pick for the month of September, and that's American Prison: A Reporter's Undercover Journey into the Business of Punishment by Shane Bauer. This was a really great nonfiction read. It was one that had been on my list for a while. I am very interested in the prison system in the United States, how it works now, how we can make it work better, especially working in social work, and I work with children who have been brought into care, and a lot of times that can be because of parents' incarceration. So it's just something that's really interesting to me as part of my work, but just as someone who's interested in those kind of like social issues. And this was really a really good read. Shane Bauer, our author, kind of has a unique experience coming into this because he was imprisoned for a few years in the Middle East. And so he kind of came in with that knowledge of what it's like to be a prisoner. But in this book, he gets a job working as a prison guard, working as a correction officer in this prison facility, and so we're kind of following his journey, his experiences, but then in alternating chapters we're also getting a history of incarceration really in the United States and kind of where it came from and how we've gotten to the point that we are now. In particular, really kind of delving into how we've gotten a private prison system in the United States. Now, private prisons, I know there's probably that's a buzzword, a lot of people talk about that. They do only make up, I believe, 10% of the prisons in the United States. I believe that's the statistic that was quoted in here. I will put the actual percentage down below, which was surprising to me. I did think that it was more, but this private prison in particular in Winfield, Louisiana, was very terrible. Kind of, I think, maybe one of the worst examples he could have picked. And it was really horrific to read about this prison and what they were getting away with. It was astonishing. It was harrowing, and yeah, it was heavy to read, but also I think if you're interested in learning more about the incarceration system and prisons, I think that this is a great place to start because it's a first-hand account, a first-hand experience. He doesn't offer a lot of policy solutions. That's really not his bent here. It's more just purely information. So I definitely want to learn more about the prison system in the United States. But this was, definitely a great introduction, and I really just appreciate Shane's perspective and just the whole undercover kind of bent of the story. I think he kind of talks in the beginning how undercover reporting is such an American tradition and such a tradition of journalism and investigative journalism and how important it is. And so it was cool to get to read his experiences being an undercover reporter. So yes, 4 stars, would really recommend this. The audiobook was also really phenomenal. The next book I finished in the month of September was The Vanishing Half by Bennett. This was my book of the month club pick for August, I think in August. And wow, I really thoroughly enjoyed this one. This book follows 2 twin sisters who live in this very small town in Louisiana, funnily enough. Louisiana's the theme, I guess, this month. But they live in Louisiana in a community called Mallard. And in Mallard, this community is basically made up of very light-skinned Black Americans. Our two twins also have very light skin, and they end up leaving this community and kind of going into the big world, and one of the twins ends up passing as a white woman and the other twin does not, and it just follows their two separate journeys and what these choices mean for the rest of their life. This looks at family ties and identity. This looks at what does it mean to create who you are, and like what is worth holding on to and what's worth letting go to create the life that you want. And not just in these two twins. We follow multiple people in this story, and it's really just identity and living the life that they want to live, and what is worth it and when is it not worth it. And so yeah, I loved that she picked so many different perspectives, and I don't want to like ruin anything in the book, but to look at this and explore it. Yeah, I just loved how she explored identity and family through that. This book is a very slow build. It really digs into these characters, but we're also following multiple different characters, so you don't always spend a ton of time with each individual character, but very similar to Little Fires Everywhere, there's like this omniscient voice, and each character's story kind of propels you into the next, and I love that writing style. I adore it. So that was phenomenal, the writing style and the storytelling in this. But overall, I really thoroughly enjoyed this book. I really am excited to pick Brit Bennett's other release, The Mothers, up, and I hope that she writes more. She's super talented. This is phenomenal. I understand why it's getting so much hype. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that I got to pick it up for my Book of the Month Club pick. Next, I started a new detective, really psychoanalyst mystery series. This has come highly recommended by April over at Getting Hooga With It. I'm very glad that I took her recommendation, and that is Blue Monday by Nicci French. The author Nicci French is a husband and wife writing duo, which I think is really fun to have two authors creating this. And Blue Monday is set in London, and we follow our main protagonist, Frida Klein, who is a psychoanalyst, a psychotherapist, and she is wrapped up in this investigation looking for a missing child because her client, the day before this child goes missing, describes this dream where he's kind of like infatuated and takes this little boy who matches the description perfectly to the little boy who went missing. This is a slow build mystery, kind of very slow paced, but there is a plot twist at the end that is like, holy moly, didn't see that coming. So it is twisty turny still, but you're definitely getting to know these characters in this world. I love that our main character Frida is a walker. She just like goes to clear her head and just like walks around London, which is just so atmospheric and enveloping. There is something about this series that reminds me of Louise Penny's Three Pines mystery series, which is one of my favorites. I absolutely adore Three Pines, and while they're very different in their writing styles and themes, like there's just something enveloping and cozy about both of these stories that they're just very reminiscent of one another. They kind of have a similar flavor, I guess, but being their completely own unique things. But I've already picked up the second book from the library, Tuesday's Gone, and I'm reading it right now. I can't wait to get wrapped up in this series. They're perfect for like the cooler months, so definitely if you're interested, maybe put this on like your fall or winter TBR. Just some good books to kind of like sink into, get wrapped up in. I really adored it. It was 4.5 stars, stellar read. Another book I picked up from the library is a graphic novel. I'm not really into graphic novels. I don't read a ton of them, but this one just was like perfect, cozy fall, and I needed some cozy fall, and that's Pumpkinheads, written by Rainbow Rowell and illustrated by Erin Hicks. This was one that I just read one night before bed. It's so nostalgic and sweet, and yeah, it just definitely made me like think back to high school and your friendships and what they mean to you, and kind of it's about transitions and about savoring those last experiences, kind of knowing you're coming to a big transition. What is that experience like? And really kind of explores that. It was sweet, it was cute, it was fun to read, and it's just so gorgeously illustrated. Faith Erin Hicks just brought this pumpkin patch to life. It was so cozy and just a perfect fall read. I gave it 4 stars. I definitely think I was wanting some like fall spirit books, so I think that probably did heighten it a little bit for me in my memory, but overall this was a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. Yeah, check it out from your library for this season. It was a lot of fun. And then last but certainly not least is a book I listened to on audio, and that's Blessed Are the Nuns. And this is by Stina Kleismeier-Cook. This book is a memoir by Stina, and it's about her mixed faith marriage. When she marries her husband, they're both Christians, and later in their marriage, her husband renounces his Christian faith, and it's her experience continuing on in her faith and what her journey looked like after her husband stopped following Christ. But it's also how her life gets interwoven with a group of nuns in her neighborhood, and what it looks like to be single in your faith, I guess. And kind of her main point is that we're never single in our faith. We're always so intertwined with those who have come before us in the faith, but also with that who we are having faith in. It felt very authentic and emotional and vulnerable. I think sometimes with Christian fiction, especially memoirs like this, they can verge on like everything's fine because I have faith, or everything's fine because I believe in Jesus. And she really shows like her struggles and her vulnerabilities, and where she struggled to have faith and where she struggled with unbelief. And I really appreciated her perspective and her vulnerability and her willingness to paint an authentically human experience of what she went through. I just appreciated her voice. She's also a really good writer. She writes for a living. This isn't just something she decided to like write a book. She like does that for her job. So you can definitely tell she is a talented author, a talented person with words. And so I do think that adds to just the experience. Like, it was just beautiful to listen to and to read. But also she's just very willing to be authentic and willing to explore what it means to doubt, but then also to persevere with faith even in the midst of doubts. And I really appreciated it. It was, I don't know, a 6 or 7 hour audiobook. I loved listening to it. It was a great experience. It was a wonderful mix of her personal life and her personal story. It was also her exploration of different saints and different nuns within the Catholic faith. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a great book. 4 stars for sure. Great read. All right, that's it. That's everything that I read in September. I'd love to know what you read. Let's chat about it down in the comments below. Please like this video if you enjoyed, and please subscribe if you want to see more bookish content from me. I'm on no posting schedule anymore. I've kind of maybe moved to maybe trying Wednesdays and a day on the weekend, but I try to post 1 to 2 videos a week. We'll see. Well, you know, we go with the flow here, but happy fall. I hope you're doing well. I'll talk to you later. Bye.